Well, for those of you that don't know who Michelle Murphy is, you may recognize it as a similar last name. It was so much fun when we first got married. Her name was like 14 names long on her travel documents, and that would cause some problem. So we are right now having some fun, and we're going to be starting this conversation, and it's to kind of be the yin to the yang, um, and to have this conversation. So, why did you want to start this?
Well, I think it's
Oh, by the way, she will always be incognito. So,
um so I it's because it's always that, meeting after the meeting. So our conversations about the topics that you share and that we share, because we both share the topics in a different way. We have
right.
two totally different perspectives. So in its our perspectives have a lot to do with how we were brought up and things like that. Even though we went to the same training, we both did the same Proud Proctor
Yes.
series together. That was one of our first big ones together
Yep.
as a couple. So and we went to silver training together. So we took the same exact training and have two totally different perspectives on how things work.
Sometimes it's opposite sides of the same coin, and sometimes it's opposite directions on the same side of the coin.
Right.
So, we've been talking about the science of getting rich,
Mm-hmm.
and the chapters gratitude, advancing man, and there's you have a right to be rich.
Uh-huh.
You typically the chapter. So, what's your take on the science of getting rich?
I think it is a science. I absolutely believe that. I think that there is an order to the universe. I think that there is a bigger entity out there that we can call on. So I believe all of that. Um, I think, though, just like the secret, which showed you what could be possible, but didn't really tell you how it works, right? So they gave you some of the pieces and parts, but not the whole thing.
Right.
So it was not a manual on how to implement this. Um, and I think that the gratitude became is the key to all of that.
Mhm.
I think with the science um of getting rich, I think it has to do with action. So for me, what I have experienced is a lot of people um think that the reading and the meditation and the journaling and those things that actually are a form of getting you in state are considered the action. And so for me, I'm all about action in my life, right? So I'm absolutely the one that'll step off into the ocean or off into, the deep end of the pool and figure out how to swim after. I'm okay with that. But it's always taking a step and doing something.
Mhm.
So it's okay if you start off running in the wrong direction. You just got to move. You got to do something. You can't sit in the middle of your living room doing all of these things, putting yourself in state and thinking that the universe will actually bring it and drop it right into your lap. And so I think that that
But it
way
does
of
bring it,
thinking
drop it right in your lap.
only after you take some action.
Yeah, but there's too many people doing action, and they're doing certain things, but they're not doing them in a certain way, and they wind up never getting anywhere. That's why 98% of the people have things that they don't like in their life. Hardest part is you still have to do action, yes, but if you are out of state,
Right. You have to
ain't
do
no
both.
way.
That's what I'm saying. You
Well,
have to do both.
yeah.
The meditation, the
By the
journaling.
way, our audience are in our VIP group. Please feel free to raise your hand and ask questions. You're not just a listening audience. This is where Michelle does her best, is when you ask questions, right? Her talking to me it doesn't hurt her head as much as banging her head against the wall. So feel free, feel free to raise your hand and I'll see you there. And you can ask questions on any topic. This is kind of the
What
initial.
chapter are you on?
Well, the chapter we would be reading is The Advancing Man.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I give you my thoughts on Science of Getting Rich. I think it works every time.
it does, it works every time. So
But
what about the
again,
magic check?
again,
I know, but
you have to take
I
action.
know you say again, but it's because at one point you did, I'm not saying you didn't believe this stuff. I didn't believe it. We didn't know you could use it. It was an unknown tool. All of these tools 22 years ago, 25 years ago, we weren't in this.
And I think that, the journey over the last 25 years has been doing the things that put us into state and thinking that is all the action that we have to take.
But I don't know anybody like that.
Hmm?
I don't know anybody.
That just tries to spend their time putting themselves in state and doesn't take any other action? You don't know anybody like that?
I don't necessarily. I know there's people, I know there's a lot of people who try to do it but never get to state. And they never wind up doing action because they keep getting the same results over and over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Right. Yeah, there's two parts to it. So you have to get yourself in state. And that's what the Science of Getting Rich
Well, that's what
helps
Napoleon Hill
with.
talks about, and
That's
all of
what the
books.
secret. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You have all
Excuse me,
this.
your life is waiting. Everybody talks about state. What
Right.
science, what Napoleon Hill's book, they took the words out of it as vibration.
Right.
Right.
Well, I mean, I still think it comes down to there's two parts to it. You have to, so part of your exercise or part of your daily work or part of, what you do is making sure that you do those exercises that put you into state. And those can be different for everybody, right? It's personal. So that's where your meditation, that's where you're reading, that's where your uh um focusing on gratitude. That's where you're checking your thoughts, making sure that you're not slipping over into doubt and fear, and that you're keeping yourself in state. I know that there are people, because I witnessed it, and I was one of them, right? So years ago, spent a lot of time reading the right thing, listening to the right thing, watching the right thing, not saying the wrong thing, doing all of those things, and wondering why things weren't just flooding into my
It
life.
wasn't in a certain way. You were doing the right things, but they weren't in the right way.
But it was only until I got out of my fear
Right.
of going after what I wanted. So I got myself up off the middle of the floor and I started, got over the fear of, looking for that job or going after that job or applying for that job that I thought that I wanted, right? I knew what I wanted it to look like in the end and what I wanted to feel like, but I didn't know exactly what it was. And so instead of waiting for somebody to knock on my door and say, "Hey, this is the perfect thing," I had to start applying and I had to start, testing out things and, start with this one. I don't like that. Go in a different direction. And so I had to get past my fear of doing those types of things. Getting past my fear of being part of different groups. I didn't want to.
But why does the fear exist if you're going after what you want?
Oh, that's easy because for me, it was the fear of it not being in the end what all I had dreamt it would be. But it was only after I understood that I had to go out there and try something, do something, join something to figure out that this isn't the right one. And that's when in my, 30 years old, I discovered, you know what, I might not know exactly what I want, but I know I don't want that.
Right.
And so the more that I did that, it helped me hone in the end what I did want. And so that was a big aha moment for me is that, instead of not doing anything, being afraid it was going to be the wrong thing, get out there and do anything, do something so that you can start honing in on what it is you actually want, because that's another
So a lot of
thing.
people
You have to know what you want.
But a lot of people have experiences because of all of the things they've had to do. You were raised in a family business,
Right.
so you didn't have a whole lot of choice. You didn't have a
Mhm.
lot of options, and that's why at 30s you didn't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, but I had a lot of experience, a lot of,
Oh, tremendous, but there's a lot of people who have 1 year experience 30 times over,
right,
right? There's a lot of people who have experiences and they know what they don't want.
right,
But everything they've had is so much of what they don't want, they don't even believe that what they do want is available.
right.
So how does that work?
It still comes down to stepping out there.
But this is where they literally have to rewire their brain because they can't go out and do the certain thing
Mhm.
in a certain way because they are so wired in a certain way that they'll never get to the way that alters it. There has to be, usually it's a life-changing episode, highly emotional state. We talk about that in manifesting.
Right,
Most people, the granddaddy who smokes 2 packs of caramel Pall Malls a day,
uh-huh,
non-filtered,
right,
will stop. I've stopped 1,000 times. Mark Twain said, "Smoking cigarettes is the easiest thing to stop."
right,
He says, "I must have done it 200 times."
right,
Right? But the one who finally stops is when the little grandbaby holds his hand up, wraps her leg around Grandpa's thing and says, "Grandpa, don't die," and he puts the cigarettes down.
mhm,
Too many people don't have a place, an environment, a community, somebody to push them and say, "You've got to step up." They
right,
keep doing incremental growth, the principle of Kaizen, that's 1%, but it's not 1% improvement, it's 1% in the other way. And
right,
that's where Joe Dispenza talks about your personality makes up your personal reality, and they think their whole world's against them.
mhm.
So how do they shift? I mean, it took you a while to shift. The thing that shifted a lot was when you found out you were pregnant. You decided highly emotional and you made changes, right? With Dr. Vella, he said some things, and then with the stuff in the house and everything else, and
Yeah, I mean, we're already moving towards that. I mean, we had already started down that path so that we could get pregnant, right? And so then that's what part of the work with
Proctor,
yes,
yeah.
Bob Proctor was. Um, but that still, wasn't emotional. It's still to the point to where there were, things that came up later after Mason was born that were, with the family and everything that were very emotional and very um physically draining and um you know um basically woke me up to things weren't as rosy and things that were coming to me easy might
And
not have been
and
easy
that's where
if
the
again.
sometimes the breakdown for the breakthrough,
Right.
right? We have to become so vulnerable or so at our wits' end,
Right.
and nobody wants to get there either. That's why they go out and they keep acting. If I just keep doing this more and keep doing this more and keep doing this more, I'll get my break.
Right.
The break doesn't happen unless you're the one that breaks.
Right. And I think that, we were manifesting things and then this huge trauma happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you kind of have to build yourself up again, or I had to build myself up again. So, and that's where this is it's not something that you learn and then it's that's it. It's something that you have to keep learning over and over again in a different way.
That's because of the phrase, what new level, new devil.
Right. And so, um, you learn how to adjust and you pull out the same old tools and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't or they don't feel right anymore and so you have to adjust your tools and so that's why over the course of years I've basically adopted different steps of different things to come up with how I like to manifest, right? So I'm a very mm, formulaic type person. I'm very process oriented. So putting it into a formula for me was how it works. Something I can remember, something I could go back to. but, you know, every breakdown has required me to adjust my tools to be able to manifest or to get past that or to
Well,
get
and that's,
move
I
on.
think, part of the challenge that most people have is, A, when they find something that works,
Right,
they don't continue to use it.
right,
And then they use it to a point to where it no longer works,
right,
right? You put new tires on a car, eventually, if you don't drive the car, they'll last for a while till they eventually 30 years later dry rot.
right,
But if you start using them, you drive them on the highway, they'll last a certain amount of time. But if you're taking a lot of high-speed turns, ain't gonna last.
right,
And that's what happens with some of the decisions that we make. If they're not, if you're just going in a straight line and you're not testing them, the first thing they do when they launch when they take off an Indy race, right? When they're getting pace car, the cars are constantly going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, warming up the tire.
right,
Well, we've got to warm up our tires too, and that's what's called challenges. That's what's called things that, push you. Because the second you wind up in a new place, we wound up here. We've never put in utilities. We've never done things, right?
right,
We got to the house in Plano. We never had a small backyard. We never had a lot of things and all of this stuff. So every time it's new. But to know that it's not new, to know that it's part of what you asked for and continue to look for the new. Because people right, they set limits, not goals. If I could just get here, I don't think we've ever been that.
I think you have to be open to the fact that it most likely is not going to look exactly like you thought it was going to look.
Well, speak to that because that's a hard thing, especially with people setting goals. And
Right,
you can set your goals. It's good because you've got to rehearse it. You've got to give the universe something to rehearse in its mind.
right,
That's what your definite major purpose is, right? That's what when Bob Proctor reads the card, he read the card twice a day. I am now happy and grateful. And he said his meditations and his mantras. But we've got to be able to rehearse those things. Most people never spend any time rehearsing it. They never spend any time dreaming it, visualizing it.
right.
Right.
And I think that when it comes to, because you're back over into manifestation, but um, when you're trying to manifest something, that's why it's, I talk about writing things down or becoming clear on the feeling that you want. So that's the main
Well, that's
thing.
the vibration.
Your state, your vibration. But understanding where in the end, it might not look like, smell like, feel like what you're visualizing, but if you could just focus on how you want to feel in that moment or with that thing or with that person or whatever, the universe will 100% of the time pleasantly surprise you because it'll bring you more, better, bigger than what you could have ever visualized. But some people are so focused on doing the exercises
Checking the box
to manifest, right? Checking the box to manifest. That they're not focusing on the feelings. And so when something comes your way and your gizzard is actually lighting up inside, you don't recognize that. And what happens is it just walks right on by because you're not in the moment, you're not present, you're so focused on doing that activity that is trying to get you or supposed to be getting you into the state that you need to be in.
And that comes back to the reticular activating system in the brain, right? If you can't see it,
right,
it may not look like what you want, but it'll definitely feel like you want. And more people have the look than they have the feel. I want it to look like this, this, and this. Well, what does that feel like? I don't know, but I want it to look like that.
Correct.
And
and the more important part is that you should tell the universe exactly how you should feel.
Right.
And it'll build that. But if you tell it exactly how much it's supposed to be, what it's supposed to look like, and things like that. Now, it's absolutely okay to paint a picture in your head so that you can, it helps you have the feeling inside if you can picture it in your head. So you writing down the color and the make and the model or, the this or the that or this place or what time of year it is when you go there or whatever it is, that helps you visualize and put yourself into the state of what you want to be feeling when that happens. It's the universe isn't taking your order based on, the color or the size or the whatever. It's taking your order based on your feeling, and it's trying to match bring you what will make you feel in that way.
So here's a question. Sometimes I found it difficult to know how to feel when I never felt that before.
Right.
But nobody can feel what that is, but you can feel how it'll make you feel. Right?
What?
I've never had Mason.
Right.
But when he was rumbling around in your tummy, I imagined what it was like to hold him. I never held my kid and threw my kid in the air or made him jump out the Hummer. Right?
Yeah.
But I know what it felt like to feel that. And then I was surprised at how I was so short of what it would feel like. So what do you say to somebody who says, well, I've never had it before, so I don't know how to feel that way?
Well, I mean, that's the big piece is that, you're writing down or visualizing what you want.
Right.
Right. So how do you know what you want? How do you know what you want? Why do you want a house on the beach?
Because it'll be fun.
What does fun feel like to you? What does fun look like to you? What does that feel like? Describe a day in that house.
Right.
Would you walk out and would you, be on the beach? And so every conversation you've ever had on these calls is about, describe that to me. What,
Right.
How does that make you feel?
So because you've never felt that way is because you haven't visualized it in your head, because the brain doesn't know whether it's real or memory.
Correct. And when you put when the part of the exercise is to put down the details,
Right.
That's not for the universe to come and look down on your piece of paper and say, oh yeah, okay, I see, and it's gotta be blue, and no. That's for you to put you into a state of feeling that the universe recognizes. The universe recognizes your feelings. It doesn't recognize your menu items. But you have to put that down. You have to be clear on those items so that you can put yourself in that state.
Well, to clear up the clutter.
Yes. And when you put yourself in that vibration, now you're talking to the universe.
When the universe matches that.
Right.
And then it supersedes it.
Right.
And then it wants to give you more than you can ask for.
Right. No, I mean, think about it. I mean, I'm pretty smart, I think. And I think everybody else should think.
Dr. Freud to the lobby. Dr. Freud to the lobby. Hey, Debbie, you come in here to save a little comic relief.
I
think
I'm pretty smart, but I don't think I'm any match for the universe. Right?
Right.
So, I always have these visions in my head of conversations with the universe and things like when I'm telling it, okay, it's got to be this and it's got to be that and it's got to be this, and it's got to be that. I visualize them sitting over there in the corner in a chair going, okay, that's interesting. Wow, that's all you want, kind of thing.
But what you just said is the universe is looking at your vision and saying it again, that
it's so small.
Yeah. Why are you so small?
Okay. That's nothing.
Yeah. What's the difference between $1,000 and $1 million for the universe? Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, I visualize it like talking to our carpenter, Rick. When, I'm out there explaining to him exactly how I think it should be built. And I'm like, okay, it's got to be this big, and you got to come off with here, and then it's got to be over here. And then he's like, okay, that's what you want. I mean, that's basically a Lego set, or I could actually build you something you can land an aircraft carrier on, and then everything he's ever built for us has been way more substantial, and better. So he takes what I think I want and, and does it the right way.
and appeases you and says, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, he's like, okay. And then I show up the next day and he's like built something that's like totally awesome. That's because he is a carpenter. He knows how things work. He knows how it goes together. He knows what in the end I want a front porch that has, a roof on it and it needs to be at least this big.
Right.
And I like this material. But he's done that time and time again, and it's nothing to him because he's practiced at it. And so,
Yeah,
that's
how
the
many times
universe.
has the universe granted wishes?
Right.
Anybody want to put a number up in the chat? How many times has the universe granted wishes? Think it's better at granting them than we are at asking them? I think they got a little more work on, a little more success on there, a little more track.
Well, and I mean, think about
And again, ask questions, raise your hand. This is with live interaction. Studio audience.
Okay, Sean and Michelle, this is Sharon.
hello.
And I have been paying attention to my state, which is often really awesome. And I'm also paying attention to some of the doing misses that I'm doing. And I have one task that I do that I think is going to be really awesome, but I find myself going out of state when I try to do it because it's so hard for me. Does that make sense? So I can't, then I say, well, maybe this isn't the action I should be taking, and I go into, second guessing myself. But there's this other part of me that says, if I mastered this, then all kinds of wonderful stuff would happen when I master this. But I'm also aware of how it's very hard for me to do it and stay in state. So I feel like I'm doing certain things, but I'm not doing them in a certain way. And I don't know how to get back into the certain way when the whole thing is so foreign to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think, so what I do want to share is that there's, dozens and dozens of tools to get you in state, and not everybody's a master of all of them. I'm not a meditator. I think I would, punch somebody in the throat if I had to sit and meditate, like, your usual TV style of meditation would be. I just don't know that I could do that. And if I tried to force myself to do it, I absolutely would not be in state. Like the minute that I sat down knowing that I'd have to try to do this. So I think that it's okay not to be a master of all of those different types of activities that maybe other people can put themselves into state with.
No, it's not so much that I don't have tools to put myself in state, because I do. I can instantly go back, but then it's like when I'm trying to do the activity that's going to be making me money, that's where I lose it. And I'm not able to sustain it. So then I stop and I go back into state and I do something else, but then I don't get the activities done. Does that make sense?
Yes. And yes. And it's exactly that I was talking about, that we have to push through the fear and do the activity anyway and be, and you're mostly there. You have identified that it pulls you out of state, and that you're stepping out into fear, but you have to do it anyway. You have to push yourself to do it anyway. And do exactly what you're doing. Have your tools ready to put yourself back in state. And the more that you practice that, the faster it'll happen. So instead of taking hours, it'll start to take minutes. Right? It's
I
practice.
love doing my getting in state stuff, but I get
You've got to monitor, right? If you inspect what you expect, you'll wind up finding out that you can actually tweak something.
Okay.
And if you just tweak something, just do it a little different. Spin before you do the chair, before you sit down and start doing the work. Call somebody before you do it, right? Ray Higdon says before you go do lives, make sure you go do 10 minutes on social media, just like and post and stuff to run the algorithms in your favor. There's something you've got to tweak, because if you're in state and as soon as you start to do the thing, either the state wasn't strong enough, or this thing has got such a mojo about it that your state isn't strong enough. So you've got to go in and set your intention for state to be higher than the negativity that the action causes to pull you out of state. Because one or the other is winning. State's winning, or the strategy, the lack of the poor state is winning, and you've got to decide which one's going to win. Because even if you went in, did the activities, as Michelle said, in a less than perfect state, you'll get a result, and then you can say, how do I make that result better? You're not getting to the results yet. You got to get to the results so that you can cross the line and go, okay, let's do a review.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you.
Review.
Yeah.
And, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. Everything, when you step out into that, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but knowing that you have those tools and, absolutely you understand that's not a feeling that you want. And so that's now easier to describe to the universe when you're in state, right? It's like, I know I want to feel joy. The complete opposite of what this felt like that I just had to do. Right? But you still have to step off in there, because if this is the path that you're choosing, and that doing this activity is what you know today, something that you can do and that you feel like you should be doing, when you put yourself into state, you will be rewarded for that, because that you are stepping off in there and you're taking that action, and then you're continuing to put yourself into state and to align with the feeling that you do want, even though this activity that you're doing isn't that's not the feeling that you want. You will be rewarded for doing that activity, and the universe will start to align. And what you may end up in the very end might not have anything to do with that activity that you're doing.
I hear you.
It's the universe recognize you got up off your ass and did something, and you will be rewarded for it.
Okay. I hear that. And what I heard inside me was, just do it in a little increment, instead of trying to bite off the whole elephant at once. So,
Right.
yeah, because that's a good way of taking myself out of state.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Actually, that was helpful. I got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Love it, love it, love it. So people are setting goals. What happens when, as has happened over the last 5 years, some people wind up going and they skyrocket and they're doing things and they're saying things are happening, and other people are like, well, I guess I must be doing it wrong.
Action.
But how does, what can the person, I know they can take action, but give some more direction. I feel like you're Leo McGarry in answering the vice presidential question. So Israel is doing this and that and the other. What do you think? I think it's right. A little more, please.
Well, I think everything it's personal, and so everybody's different. I think the most success comes from getting out there and doing things and not knowing. Like, I don't know how to say it. It seems like it's so much easier when you have somebody that you follow, or a mentor or whatever, that basically tells you this is what you need to do. And then if you just do it with a confidence and do the activities that keep you in state, you can't fail.
So you may not succeed all the way, but it's
Right.
definitely not, it's a lesson.
It just seems like if you, and it's not that you don't have the capacity. It just seems like if you just get rid of the self-doubt. I don't know how to say. I don't know what it is. It's like it's like if you don't know that you don't what you don't know,
Right.
you're so much better.
Right.
You're just so
Nobody
much
tells
better.
us you couldn't do it.
Right. And you just kind of skyrocket. And so that's kind of, and I think that that's why we're so, why we're so successful out here is because I just said, screw it. I'm gonna go do it. Never done that before. If I fail, I'll just go live at the beach with my sister. That's my attitude. That was my attitude kind of for a while there. But I just knew I wasn't gonna spend any more time not trying it.
Right.
And so
And now we have an outhouse.
now we have an outhouse. I just think it's so difficult. I totally understand because I get stuck in my head all the time too. So it's very difficult if you get yourself stuck in your head and spend time doubting, uh, you know. But
Well, a couple of things you've done is by design, but I don't know
Uh-huh.
by default, is spend time in nature. Taking a shower outside, standing on a rock, grounding every day.
oh yeah, well I've been known to walk around talking to things,
Right.
and I have a weird. I don't
Now you
know.
get chickens.
I have chickens, but I have I don't know. I don't know if it's because I just don't like people. I don't know what it is. I don't. I just and my dad was the same way. So I think that I
It's not that you don't like people, you just
I
don't
don't
want to put up
understand them.
for goofiness.
I don't understand people.
That's true.
I don't get them. And they don't get me. And that's okay. I get it. But I just think that sometimes I surprise myself on what hits my heart. So weird. Like the weirdest things. And so I think it's okay to spend time, and part of my getting myself centered is walking around like you said and talking to nature. I like to walk,
Mhm.
pick up things and stuff like that. It's just quiet. And I think you have to find that. Everybody, that's all personal though. You know, I could meditate. That is my meditation.
Right.
Yeah.
Louise, you had your hand up.
I did. Hello, Michelle.
Oh,
Um, a couple of things. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, okay, what brought me to the staircase where people were talking at the fifth step and I wasn't even near the staircase when I first started being in this community.
mm-hmm.
And one of the things, and you, I know I just heard your voice today earlier, and now I hear it again. But I know that you have naturally an ability to be absolutely aware of everything around you, and the gratitude comes naturally.
What are we talking about?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm telling you that I'm laughing at Sean. I'm laughing at Sean.
Well, because I'm probably proving you right, and I'm not going to get into that. However, the whole point, my point being that the things that have recently happened to me that I am over just
All right.
cuckoo about
Mhm.
have to do with those beginning with awareness, and awareness of me and awareness of what I was thinking, and then being grateful for even the crap that happens because there's
Right.
a lesson in it, and
Mhm.
moving forward only in gratitude about everything. And then all of that, just one little piece at a time happening. And I'm sharing an observation with you because I've been in absolute fear that I can't move forward until I became aware of
Mhm.
that fear, not pushing through it because I was a grinder. Let's just just push through and just do
Right.
this, Louise, and just go for it. And I'd be wounded and I'd feel worse. And it just didn't make I didn't made no progress.
Right.
Oh, I had lots of, I could act like I did, but there wasn't anything. However, this is totally different. And it's not so much, it's not pushing through the fear, it's implementing awareness and gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And so how does that fit in your discussion?
Awareness and gratitude. So, yeah, those are two key pieces. And so the gratitude is how the secret works, right? So it's it's the missing link, and it's also a huge tool to keep you in state. And so I think you can't fully manifest anything without having gratitude as part of it. And and it's not just gratitude for that thing, it's gratitude for everything within your life, every small thing, every big thing. It's just going to be baked in. It's got to be a way of life. It's not a diet. It's got to be a way that you bake that into how you live every day. Um, and so I think that's a huge piece of it. And then what was the other part? What was the other question? There was gratitude and awareness.
And awareness.
Yes. So being aware is one of the main steps of manifesting, right? So you have to put out to the universe in the end what you want, and what you want means how you want to feel, right? So put yourself into state and show the universe how you want to feel about a certain thing or a certain place or whatever. And then you have to be aware. And so that's what they call being in the now, right? So you have to put it out there, and then you have to be aware and make sure that you're paying attention to what's going on around you, or else, just like Sean and I were talking a little bit earlier, it could march by you and you didn't even notice because you weren't aware.
Intentional blindness.
Right.
See, and this is the challenge, is that we can say a mantra, I am so happy and grateful that I am aware and that I am filled with gratitude.
Mhm.
But that's not a certain way.
You don't feel that. You're saying that. There's a difference.
Right. And so allowing yourself, though, here's the key, is if something is new, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Too many people, when new things happen, when good things happen, what do they say? Oh, the other shoe's going to drop. This can't last.
Right.
And new is the only thing you can expect.
Oh, different, new.
Well, different is new.
Right. I'm just saying, just coming up with synonyms of, different, new, those types of things aren't.
If we're going to talk grammar, I'm out of the game. I'm out of the game.
It's and even things where you historically, not even just you, other people would historically think are negative. We can't hang our hat on that. And so the more you can practice that, the more that you can practice staying neutral about an outcome or about something that's happening around you, or being
neutral, again, we went through one of the things about comparison. We must
Right.
be from the competitive mind to from the competitive to the cooperative.
right,
And cooperative means that it is what it is.
right.
You cooperate with whatever shows up.
It's not bad or good.
It's not bad or good. And
Yeah.
so new is not bad or good.
Right.
Different is not bad or good.
Right,
Even if it appears to be bad, that's just your response to an
Right.
action.
right,
And therefore we may need to be tweaked.
right. And and being able to, and when I say be neutral, it means not safeguarding your feelings. And so that's something that it's that you have to learn that, and that's something that I've learned over the years, is that these are my feelings, and I can get mad or not. I share my feelings a lot with Sean.
And you should
Right.
pay attention to them and know that your feelings are insignificant in as much as my feelings
My feeling,
are dominant.
my feeling
Ergo, why this is called
is more
what she said.
But it's safe. When I say safeguarding, I mean, for me, that means that I'm not going to allow myself to be overcome with any kind of emotion, especially if I don't. I mean, I could be a lot more emotional.
God help us all.
Right. So, but
The Rolodex aren't strong enough to handle those
what I'm saying,
slamming.
what I'm saying is that I have to constantly remind myself that the universe is
And not reminded at all by me.
right, is bringing me what I'm supposed to get.
Mhm.
Right. So based on, and I, it doesn't matter how many years you practice this, you're always, always.
If you're
going to-
expanding, you're always going to be expanded.
But yes, and you're always going to be checking your thoughts.
Hmm.
And so but with practice, it used to take me months to get myself out of a lull
Mhm.
to where now within a few seconds I can recognize that my thoughts are not great.
And the lull might even be deeper now.
Right. But
But it's
then
still, because it's called desensitization. You're
Right.
desensitized, right? Like an addict.
right.
One beer, woo, I'm a little tipsy, but if I can drink a case and you won't even know that I drank a case
Right.
because my body has become accustomed, right?
Right.
So we have to be aware that our swings might be a little bit steeper,
Right.
but we have to be able to use the tools. And if the swings are steeper, the tools need to be stronger. The challenge is that if you go into a lull that's 20 feet deep and you only have a 5-foot tool,
Uh-huh.
that's where depression kicks in.
Well, I
That's
know,
where people
and
get
there's
stuck.
something else people need to understand too, is that when you're starting out, it it takes practice to get yourself back into state.
Mhm.
Right. So, and then that time frame to get yourself back into state shortens, especially if you're
Should. That's
if you're
how you,
practicing
if
it.
you're practicing it.
If you're practicing it, the goal is to get that shortened. Something that I've over the years had to also understand is that things that I didn't necessarily desire in the past that took me months to get over, to get myself back into state, to get myself to where I could manifest something that would be something that was a positive or something that I wanted, that huge pendulum swing, not only shortened as a swing, but the things that and this happens with everybody, this is just natural. The things that I used to feel or used to think were such a negative thing are now not even negative.
Right.
So it's either like, how did I even think that was a problem? And some of that comes with age, right?
Well,
So it's just
it-
experience.
It's also understanding, to use science, it's the gravity, right? We think
Right.
it's situations, the gravity of the situation. Well, the gravity of your centeredness is much deeper, that things that used to throw you off center don't even move the pendulum at all. It takes bigger things to move it. And that's why they say new level, new devil.
Right. And because it's your experience, because you've already been there, you've done that, you know that you're going to come through this. I've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a different, a different twist when it comes to, I've been here 100 times, so why can't I get past this?
Right.
That's a different problem.
Where most people are at.
Right. And so, just moving yourself past that. So I think that it's just with growth and with experience and with knowing that you can persevere. But I think that what happens is the universe comes around and gives you more and better than what you thought was a negative to begin with. I'm trying to explain that without using an actual example, but anyway, but I think it comes through being aware of what's around you and being able to pick up on it and to see that things, even if you feel that are a negative, it may or may not be. It's like that old Indian story. It's like, oh, something happened, he fell off a cliff. That's terrible, isn't it? Maybe.
Maybe it is, maybe.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Right. And so in the end, because he fell off the cliff, something else great happened.
His leg and
Right.
they came for the draft. Oh, you're so lucky your son didn't go.
Maybe
It
maybe it
is.
isn't. Right. So you gotta live your life like that. It's like
Your
just
horse ran away, came back with 7 stallions.
It's true. So and that happens to everyone every day. But it's just, how do you react? How are you reacting to these things? And what are you doing when in your gut you're not feeling so great? How are you spending your time on what activities to change that in your gizzard?
So we're going to wrap this up, and then
Okay.
we're going to go for some more Q&A and feedback from the live studio audience. Any last words?
Nope. That's my last word.
Thanks for being part. Thanks for being part of the wrap up. Well, thank you for being a part of That's What She Says, or no, What She Says.
You don't even know what I say.
No, I don't.
Listen to what I say.
And we appreciate you. Tune into the next show where we're going to talk about what she says. And I'm sure I'll do my best to make it through. All right, let me end this recording and appreciate everybody. Share this with your friends and family. Subscribe and click the like button. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now. Feedback. We all think.
Say what?
Anybody here?
There you go.
Stunned into muteness.
Afraid
That
to
was
say,
amazing.
afraid to say anything.
Those Roz.
Why?
That was great, Michelle. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So when you put your intentions in there and your gratitude in there,
Mhm.
is it the energy you put in it too?
Of course.
So is it a,
You mean the feeling or
Yeah.
intensity or both?
yeah,
Yeah. You gotta have the feelings. So it's more important to focus on how you want to feel. Tell the universe how you want to feel about something.
And it doesn't mean that you
Yeah.
have to be in that vibration. When Napoleon Hill
Yeah.
says, "Listen, universe, you got to give me a title. Use your noodle for the boodle. I'm done. 20 years of my life, I'm done. You got to give me." And so sometimes you have to ask. And it's okay to say, "I just want to feel better than this." And you'll start to get indications and you'll start to feel better than this. And then when you say, "I want to feel better than this," and then it just it's the upward spiral.
Well, I mean, one of the exercises that a lot of people, the check, right? The magic check.
Mm-hmm.
It's more important to write down what you want to do with $1 million and how you want to feel than it is what you want to buy with it or that you want to have the $1 million. So we've talked about this several times. It's like, don't tell me that you want the $1 million. Tell me what you're going to do with the $1 million. And then not only tell me what you're going to do with $1 million, tell me how you're going to feel when you do that.
Right.
You have to get there. You have to get to the feelings. You have to get to the, how is this going to make me feel? Because that's the only way that it's important. Universe doesn't care if you need your 27th car or another Chanel handbag. Really doesn't care.
Chanel.
Yeah.
How far out of date are you?
Chanel is still,
Okay.
who are you? Okay,
I don't
hello. Did I drop off the universe?
Well, I
That's
don't
the end of the universe. What? Okay.
Welcome to 1960.
Oh my God. You are you absolutely trying to take sides on fashion with me? Okay. Yes.
Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay, there I am. There was something I was going, oh, the other day in my conversation with Jesus, we were talking about my DMP, and he said, the problem with your DMP is that it's static and you change minute to minute. So you have to make a DMP that goes with how you're growing and yet still points a direction. But I didn't quite know how to do that. But Jesus told me to do that.
Awesome.
He also said the other day when I was in this fabulous state, and then I started to go down a little tube, I came back to say, hey, what's going on? He said, your value has nothing to do with your productivity, which lifted me out of where I was going, because it wasn't about being productive. It was about, what do I want? It just changed it altogether. But I still, I'm looking at, like the other day, Bob Kane said he doesn't look at his DMP. And I've stopped looking at my DMP. And I want to make it more alive and vibrant for me. Do you have any suggestions for that?
Well, there's going to be a lot of changes between now and 12 months, but 12
Yeah.
months are going to show up. So make it a goal that's big enough for 12 months. And then the course adjustment, right? Bob Proctor says we launch a rocket from here to the moon. It's only on course 3% of the time. So it's constantly adjusting. Moon's still the target. So you can set your DMP to be the moon, and you just know that it's going to adjust. It's going to be dynamic, but you've got to do the certain basic activities, right? Talk to people, do this, do that, do this. You're not saying who I got to talk to or what I got to say or when I got to say it. It's I got to talk to people. That's the price you're going to pay. And the changing is what's the price you're going to pay? You got to decide, I'm going to pay this price and I'm going to do this every day. And that's the price I'm going to pay. And then the rewards come.
And then do it no matter what.
Yep. So the DMP is not to adjust it to say, on Thursdays, I do nothing. That's probably not a good part of your DMP.
No. Okay. All right. I hear you. I have to jump off. I love you guys.
Love you
And
too.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Thoughts, comments, feedback, takeaways? What'd you learn? What'd you like? Chanel is timeless.
Yeah, yes, whoever that is.
Yes, it's timeless. I really appreciate how some of what Michelle said tonight piggybacks on what you said last night, Sean, about rehearsing, about rehearsing your outcome. And
say that.
So that really, yeah, that's like a double nail or double hammer hitting the nail there. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. All my good ideas come from her.
Oh my God, stop.
What she says. Oh, that's like a play of from Michael from The Office. That's what she said.
Exactly.
Who else? Thoughts, comments, takeaways? What'd you learn?
That you didn't know Chanel was still a thing.
Oh God. Yes, Vicky. And I can probably unmute you. You are now unmuted.
Okay, yeah, I'm been a little more challenged than usual lately with my phone. That's part of what has been wonderful. It's like part of my life feels like Jekyll and Hyde, and I never know whether it's going to be Jekyll or Hyde around home every moment. And one of the things that has tremendously impacted me is a tapping with healing from the inside out. And a lot of what I hear you talking about is healing from the inside out. And the gift that's coming, I mean, I used to say, oh yeah, I've been through cancer and I got these liver things and I got these kidney things. And here I am, aren't I lucky? And isn't it wonderful? Until I realized, why are those even in my dialogue?
Right.
And the subtlety of how we invite those old whispering walls is becoming clearer and clearer to me. And little things like Ruth, God bless her, she had caught and said to me once, you know, you might not want to use the word never and always in your sentences, because I do. I always do. And that makes it so static. There's no real possibility of movement. So it's gone for me from beyond just saying, what's the gift? But now focusing on, no, not just what the gift is, but what's the feeling that it evoked that is now moving me. And this is a whole different exploration for me. And it's exciting and scary because so many, like, I hear, I heard earlier, you know, this idea that once you make a commitment, you keep it. Well, when I'm in my story, there's no way I keep it. I can pretend I'll keep it, but the reality is, if I've observed my behavior, and does that mean I don't want it bad enough? I don't know what it means yet, but I do know there's a part of me that really wants to move forward, and then I'm watching the part of me that says, wait a sec, I don't want to do that. I
So
don't
when
want
you
to do it
mentioned
if it's hard.
when you mentioned it's exciting and scary, I just take out the word scary. Just keep the exciting. Doesn't have to be scary. It's exciting. If you say it's exciting and scary, then you get exciting and scary. Just say it's exciting.
Yep. It's catching that. It's catching that. Yes. Thank you. Yes. And what I really was saying was I find I'm catching it more, but it's so subtle. It's there. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Anyone else?
I do. This is not an apart, but I want to mention this. I've been, taking the C. I call it the big C, the the big C,
Yeah.
and I know it's making a huge difference,
Awesome.
both in state, but I'm watching my brain. I love it.
Love it,
So
love
I
it, love it.
just really wanted to share that. It's like, that is totally exciting.
That's
Totally
cool.
exciting.
Congratulations. Very
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
You glad you did it? You.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here with you in the office.
No, I thought this was a very mild interaction with you because we get into other
We don't want them buying popcorn for them tickets just yet.
No, but I think that, no, I think it was good. Because it is personal and it is doesn't have to be the same journey in the same way for
Mm-mm.
everybody, even if you take the same training.
And
And I don't think
the-
people understand that.
The key is arriving at the destination, the personal destination that everybody has. You can still be in harmony.
Yeah, taking a
You
different,
don't have
different
to
route.
do, right. If everybody says, okay, we'll all get $1 million if we arrive in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on Thursday at 3, we'll all show up from different places Thursday at 3 and be there. But if any one of us is not there, then none of us get the $1 million. We'll make sure everybody, right? It's like the story they took kindergarten class or
Mhm.
third graders. And they wrote their name on a balloon,
All right.
blew it up, wrote their name on a balloon, and put it out in the hallway. Teacher said you got 5 minutes to go find your balloon.
Mhm.
Sheer pandemonium and chaos, kicking the balloons around, everybody else. Like less than 5 of the kids found their balloons.
Mhm.
Then they changed the rules. Same balloons, same 5 minutes, but they said when you find the balloon and the name that's on it, go give it to the person who it belongs to.
Mhm.
And the whole thing was done in less than 2 minutes. That's a mastermind.
Right. Working
You
with
got to wind
coordination.
up with your balloon, but when you have teamwork and work in perfect harmony, it's not find the balloon, throw it down, find the balloon, got to find mine. It's find the balloon, this is yours, deliver it.
Right.
And there was no screaming, no hollering, no pandemonium because everybody knew who everybody was.
Right. And maybe that's a topic for a future call or discussion is about how you can,
What she says.
how you can, rocket your manifestation by, with a group like this
Yeah.
one or partnering with somebody.
Good. Anyone else? Thank you all for allowing us to take the time to go on this journey with you all. Anyone else? Any last thoughts, comments, takeaways? Take with yous? Amber said you pick things up like a puppy.
Things up like a puppy.
Oh, yeah, you said I like to walk around and pick things up. That's what puppies like to do.
Oh, yes. I like puppies too. I pick them up.
Or maybe that's what she was meaning, like pick things up like a puppy.
Like I'm a puppy.
Well,
yes,
like
like
a
I pick it up.
puppy or pick up puppies.
I'll pick up puppies.
Because we've seen pictures of you with puppies recently.
Oh, yeah. I like picking up puppies and things.
All right, my little legalese from us at What She Says.
That is not what we're calling
That's
it.
exactly what we're calling it.
Not
That's
calling it
what
that.
she says. So I love you tons. I'm Sean Murphy along with,
Michelle Murphy.
say it louder.
Michelle Murphy.
Yes, there you go. We'll see y'all where.
At the next
Next
event.
Next event.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the morning.
Thank you. Love you guys.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you,
I
thank
love
you,
guys.
thank you.
Bye for now.
Love ya. Love ya.
Yeah.